Welcome to Weird History Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Carter. In the annals of human survival, certain tales stand head and shoulders above the rest, defying belief, challenging our understanding of human resilience, and writing the rules of what is possible. One such story is that of Vesna Vulović, a Yugoslav flight attendant who survived the highest fall without a parachute. The date was January 26, 1972, and the event took place over the frigid, snow-laden landscapes of Czechoslovakia. The aircraft, a McDonnell Douglas DC-9, was cruising at an altitude of 33,000 feet when an explosion ripped through the fuselage. Investigators later ascertained that a briefcase bomb was the culprit, planted by a Croatian separatist group. The plane was torn apart by the blast, sending debris and passengers tumbling through the frigid open air. In this chaotic whirl of screaming wind and plummeting wreckage, Vesna Vulović found herself tumbling helplessly towards the earth. With no parachute to slow her descent, she was at the mercy of gravity and the structural wreckage around her. Her survival, under such circumstances, would be a matter of sheer chance. As the ground rushed up to meet her, Vesna Vulović landed in a heavily forested, snow-capped mountainside. The wreckage of the plane had scattered around her, and the snow, acting as a cushion, helped absorb some of the impact. However, the force was still tremendous, and Vulović sustained multiple severe injuries, including a fractured skull, broken legs, and 3 broken vertebrae. Yet, miraculously, she survived. The fact that Vesna Vulović survived the fall is astonishing, but her survival was only the beginning of her ordeal. In the aftermath of the crash, she was left alone, injured and stranded in sub-zero temperatures. Her eventual rescue came hours later, when a villager found her screaming in pain amidst the wreckage. Despite her injuries, and the hypothermia setting in, she was still alive. In the years to follow, Vulović would become a national hero, a symbol of resilience and survival against all odds. Her story is one of fortitude and the will to live, a testament to the human spirit's indomitable capacity to endure. But it is also a stark reminder of our vulnerability and the razor-thin line that separates life from death in moments of extreme peril. Of course, the story of Vesna Vulović is not merely a tale of survival. It is a case study in the unpredictable interplay of factors that can determine life or death in a split second. The exact circumstances that allowed her to survive, the angle of her descent, the cushioning snow, the timely rescue, were all elements of a precarious balance that could have tipped against her at any moment. It is a balance that continues to intrigue and mystify scientists, aviation experts, and survivalists alike. The intricate dance of physics and physiology that resulted in Vesna Vulović's survival is a testament to the complexity of our world. Her descent, estimated to have lasted around 2 minutes, was influenced by a myriad of factors, some of which are still being analyzed by experts today. The wreckage she was trapped in, for instance, is believed to have given her a degree of aerodynamic stability, preventing her from reaching terminal velocity. Equally important was the orientation of her body during the fall, which may have reduced the force of impact. But the landing was only the first part of the equation. Once on the ground, her body was subject to a barrage of damaging forces. The sheer kinetic energy of her impact would have been enough to kill most people outright. But Vesna Vulović's body, perhaps due to a combination of her physical condition and the snow's cushioning effect, managed to absorb the blow. Her injuries, while severe, were non-lethal. Her skull, rather than shattering, was fractured, and the vertebrae in her spine, instead of severing her spinal cord, were merely broken. But even then, her survival hung by a thread. Hypothermia, a potent killer in freezing conditions, was a very real threat. Her body's ability to maintain core temperature in the face of such chilling cold is a testament to the human body's remarkable resilience. Yet, the story does not end with the physics of her fall or the physiological responses of her body. Equally important was the human factor. The villager who found her amidst the wreckage, who heard her cries for help and acted, played a crucial role in her survival. Immediate medical attention, beginning with that villager's call for help, was vital in stabilizing her condition and giving her a chance to recover. The story of Vesna Vulović is a complex tapestry of physics, physiology, and human intervention. The outcome of her fall was not determined by a single factor, but by a combination of circumstances, some within her control, others not. It is a story that continues to fascinate and challenge our understanding of the limits of human survival. In the face of such adversity, her tale stands as a beacon of human resilience and the triumph of life over seemingly insurmountable odds. It is a story that even decades later continues to inspire and astound. In 2016, a phenomenon swept across the United States, causing widespread fear and paranoia. A seemingly innocuous symbol of humor and joy turned into an agent of dread. The Great Clown Panic of 2016, as it came to be known, was a bizarre chapter in the annals of American history, offering a chilling study of mass hysteria in the digital age. The panic began in Greenville, South Carolina in August. Reports surfaced of individuals dressed as clowns attempting to lure children into the woods. The police were alerted, but no evidence was found. Yet this was merely the spark that ignited a nationwide blaze. In the following weeks, clown sightings spread across the country, with individuals in grotesque clown attire often spotted near forests, schools, or residential areas, sometimes even carrying weapons. Despite the scarcity of concrete evidence or arrests, the fear was palpable. The panic elicited a broad spectrum of reactions. Schools were put on lockdown, authorities issued public warnings, social media was awash with clown-spotting accounts and fear-mongering posts. Memes that once sparked laughter now provoked fear. The ripple of panic even reached the White House, prompting a statement from the press secretary. In this maelstrom of fear, the clown panic of 2016 was not without its historical predecessors. The phantom clown theory, developed by folklorist Lauren Coleman in the 1980s, suggests that waves of clown sightings are a recurring phenomenon, tied to societal anxieties. These fears, often centered around the safety of children, manifest themselves in the guise of the sinister clown, a perversion of the typically benign circus entertainer. Historically, clowns have occupied a dual role in society. They are figures of fun, their exaggerated performances a source of amusement, but they also represent the uncanny, the distorted mirror of humanity. Their excessive makeup and flamboyant costumes intended to entertain can also unsettle, creating a sense of unease and fear. This duality became evident during the medieval period in Italy, with the advent of the harlequin, a mischievous clown-like character in commedia dell'arte. Over time, this figure evolved into something more sinister, a trickster with a darker side. This transformation was cemented in the Victorian era with the creation of characters like Punch from Punch and Judy, who was both comic and cruel. The Great Clown Panic of 2016 is a testament to the enduring power of these historical images and narratives. It illustrates how deeply embedded fears can be triggered by the right combination of factors. In this instance, the proliferation of social media combined with real-world anxieties created a perfect storm of panic. It's a chilling reminder of how the line between humor and horror, reality and fantasy, can sometimes blur, with profound and unsettling consequences. The Great Clown Panic of 2016 did not emerge from a vacuum. Its roots can be traced back to a very specific incident in May 1981 in Brookline, Massachusetts. Over 2 days, police received reports from schoolchildren claiming they'd seen a van driven by clowns offering them candy to lure them inside. The reports were taken seriously, with schools issuing warnings and police actively looking for the alleged kidnappers. However, no clown or van was ever found, leading to speculation that the whole episode was a figment of the children's collective imagination, an urban legend in the making. This event, often referred to as the original Phantom Clown Scare, fits into Coleman's theory perfectly. In the midst of a society grappling with rising anxieties about child safety, the figure of the clown became a vessel for these fears. The Phantom Clown, then, was not merely a sinister figure in pancake makeup and a red nose. It was a potent symbol for the shadowy threats lurking on the periphery of safe suburban life. Fast forward to 2016, and the same dynamics were at play, amplified by the power of social media. The first sighting in Greenville, South Carolina, set the stage. Reports of clowns trying to lure children into the woods sparked a media frenzy. Soon sightings were reported all over the country, from Kentucky to Pennsylvania, Florida to New York. Many were hoaxes, but the panic was real, spreading like a contagion across the nation. Driving this hysteria was the viral power of social media. With each new sighting, fear escalated, fueled by shared posts, tweets, and videos. Even celebrities weighed in, adding to the sense of widespread fear. The panic was so intense that professional clowns felt the need to organize a Clown Lives Matter march in Tucson, Arizona, to protest the negative portrayal of their profession. The Great Clown Panic of 2016, then, is a fascinating study in collective fear and the power of social media to amplify it. It also demonstrates how symbols can be imbued with our darkest anxieties, turning a figure of humor into a harbinger of terror. This panic, like its 1981 predecessor, may have faded into the annals of history, but its implications remain relevant, an eerie reminder of the power of fear in shaping our perception of reality. As we delve deeper into the realm of fear and symbolism, we encounter another historical figure that has served as a vessel for our collective anxieties: the plague doctor. Cloaked in a long black overcoat, a wide-brimmed hat, and a peculiar mask with a long beak-like nose, this figure is an enduring image of one of the darkest periods in human history, the Black Death. The plague doctor's mask, which has now become a staple of macabre aesthetics, served a very practical purpose in the 17th century. It was believed that the plague was spread through miasma, a noxious form of bad air. The beak of the mask was filled with aromatic substances like herbs, spices, straw, and even dried flowers, intended to purify this bad air and protect the wearer. The large glass eyes would protect the physician's own eyes from the miasma. The long overcoat, treated with wax, served as a sort of protective suit, designed to keep the doctor safe from the touch of the infected. The wide-brimmed hat was a symbol of their profession, not unlike the white coats doctors wear today. A wooden cane, often seen in depictions of plague doctors, allowed them to examine patients without touching them, keeping a safe distance from the contagion. The image of the plague doctor, in all its grotesque glory, is a stark reminder of how little was known about disease transmission in those times. It also embodies the fear and desperation of a society grappling with a deadly pandemic. The plague doctor, for all his bizarre attire, was a beacon of hope in these desperate times, a symbol of humanity's relentless fight against the invisible enemy. But there is a darker side to the story of the plague doctor. Many of these physicians were not experienced doctors at all. In fact, some were merely second-rate doctors, surgeons too inexperienced or barber surgeons who were given this deadly assignment because the more established physicians had fled in fear. Yet, they were the only ones willing to enter the homes of the infected, risking their lives in the process. The plague doctor, then, is not just a figure of fear, but also of courage and sacrifice. Despite the lack of medical knowledge, despite the bizarre and ineffectual protective garb, these individuals walked into the heart of darkness, armed with nothing more than a cane and a beakful of herbs. They faced the shadow of death in a desperate attempt to bring some semblance of relief to the afflicted. The story of the plague doctor mask, then, is more than just a tale of a peculiar costume. It is a testament to our enduring will to combat fear, a symbol of our desperate attempts to make sense of the frightening unknown, a mirror reflecting our darkest hours, and the extraordinary lengths we will go to survive them. Delving deeper into the narrative of the plague doctor masks reveals a fascinating aspect of human nature, our propensity to seek comfort in rituals. The beak-like mask, filled with aromatic substances like dried flowers, herbs, and spices, was believed to purify the air and protect the wearer from the miasma, the noxious air believed to carry the plague. This belief, however, was not based on scientific understanding. It was, in essence, a ritual, a desperate act of faith in the face of an unexplainable catastrophe. The ritualistic aspect of the plague doctor mask is also evident in the way it was worn. As a part of the protective ensemble, the mask was not casually put on. It was donned with a sense of ceremony, a grim reminder of the deadly mission the wearer was about to undertake. Every aspect of the plague doctor's attire, from the waxed overcoat to the cane, was a part of an elaborate ritual meant to ward off the deadly disease. The use of aromatic substances in the beak of the mask is another testament to the ritualistic nature of the plague doctor attire. Despite the lack of scientific evidence, these substances, known as theriac, were believed to have healing properties. Theriac, a concoction that dates back to the ancient Greeks, was a compound of over 60 ingredients, including viper flesh and opium. It was considered an antidote to all poisons and was held in high regard throughout the Middle Ages. The use of theriac in the plague doctor mask reflects the pervasive belief in the power of rituals and their comforting presence amidst the chaos and fear of the plague. The plague doctor mask, thus, is more than just a historical artifact. It is a symbol of our collective psyche, our innate need for rituals and symbols when faced with uncertainty and fear. It is a testament to our human instinct to make sense of the incomprehensible, to seek solace in rituals, to find hope amidst despair. The plague doctor masks, with their beak-like protrusions and ghastly appearance, have become an enduring image of the Black Death. But their story is not merely one of fear and death. It is a story of human resilience, of our remarkable ability to confront the unknown with courage and tenacity. The masks, in all their grotesque glory, stand as a stark reminder of a time when humanity was brought to its knees by an invisible enemy, and how, even in the face of such immense adversity, we refuse to surrender. In our search for understanding and control, we may sometimes resort to rituals and symbolism that may appear bizarre and unscientific, but it is in these moments of desperation that our will to survive shines the brightest. The plague doctor masks, in their peculiar, ominous way, encapsulate this enduring human spirit. They are symbols not just of a devastating pandemic, but also of mankind's relentless pursuit of survival against all odds. As we delve deeper into the annals of our past, we encounter peculiarities that baffle our modern sensibilities. One such curiosity is the practice of medieval animal trials, a historical phenomenon that saw creatures like pigs and rats put on trial, in courtrooms not dissimilar to those reserved for their human counterparts. This curious method of dispensing justice underscores the medieval understanding of morality and agency, and perhaps reveals more about human nature than it does about the animals that found themselves in the dock. Anecdotes of swine being formally accused, tried, and sentenced for various crimes, such as murder or property damage, are not uncommon. In one startling case from the 14th century, a sow and her piglets were put on trial in France for the murder of a child. The sow was convicted and publicly executed, while her offspring, deemed too young to have fully participated in the crime, were exonerated. This bizarre case is not an isolated incident, but rather a part of a systematic practice of animal prosecution. The legal procedures were meticulously detailed. Animals were often provided with legal representation, and the trials were held in public, following the same rules and protocols as those involving human defendants. The prosecution would present evidence, witnesses would testify, and the defense would argue for the innocence of the accused animal. These trials were not confined to pigs. In another instance, a horde of rats was summoned to court in France in the 16th century for damaging barley crops. The rats were given a court-appointed lawyer, who ingeniously argued that his clients were unable to attend the court due to the threat posed by local cats. The case was eventually dismissed due to the rats' repeated non-appearance, a testament to the seriousness with which these proceedings were conducted. While these trials might seem laughable to us now, they were a grave matter in the medieval period, reflecting a profound belief in animal agency and moral accountability. These trials revealed a world where divine, natural, and human laws intersected. Animals were considered sentient beings capable of committing sins, and thus were held accountable for their actions. The medieval animal trials remain a fascinating chapter in our history, a testament to the fluid and evolving nature of our understanding of justice, morality, and the natural world. They expose the medieval mindset, where the boundary between the human and animal world was porous, and both were intertwined in the grand tapestry of existence. In the end, these trials tell us more about ourselves than about the animals they prosecuted. They stand as a stark reminder of our incessant need for order and justice, even in situations where such concepts may seem utterly incongruous. The trials of pigs and rats in medieval courts underscore our enduring quest for understanding the world around us, a quest that often leads us into the realms of the extraordinary and the bizarre. The details of these medieval animal trials are nothing short of bewildering, pushing the boundaries of our present understanding of legal justice. The legal theater unfolded with lawyers, judges, and court officials dealing with animal defendants in earnest solemnity. The trials were conducted in Latin, a language completely foreign to the accused, further highlighting the uncanny surrealism of the proceedings. Take, for instance, the case of a pig in 1386 in Falaise, France. The pig was formally charged with the murder of a child. After a thorough trial, the pig was found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. The pig was even dressed in human clothes and led to the gallows. The seriousness of the trial was mirrored in the severity of the punishment, reflecting the deep-seated belief in the pig's moral agency and culpability. Another intriguing case occurred in Lausanne, Switzerland in 1451, where a large group of rats was put on trial for having feloniously eaten up and wantonly destroyed the province's barley crop. The rats were dutifully represented by a lawyer, who argued that the rats had not been given sufficient notice to appear in court, a valid point in the medieval legal system. He also argued that the rats were merely acting according to their nature, sparking a philosophical debate about free will and animal agency that echoed within the courtroom. These trials were not isolated incidents but were widespread across Europe. They were conducted with the same gravity and decorum as human trials, reflecting the complex interplay between religious, moral, and legal notions of the time. Animals were seen as beings capable of making moral choices, and thus were held accountable for their actions. The trials also underscored the deeply ingrained belief in divine retribution. If animals sinned, they were to be punished, serving as a potent reminder of the consequences of moral transgressions. The trials were a spectacle, a public display of justice being served, and were often attended by large crowds. The sentencing of animals was a message to the public, a tangible representation of the consequences of sin and the unyielding hand of justice. The trials of pigs and rats in medieval courts delve into the extraordinary, offering a window into an era where the line between the human and animal world was blurred. They reveal a time when animals were not just seen as lesser beings, but as active participants in the grand drama of life, capable of virtue and vice, and subject to the same moral and legal codes as humans. This fascinating chapter in history illustrates the intricate and evolving tapestry of our understanding of justice, morality, and the natural world, highlighting the lengths to which we go to make sense of our surroundings. As we delve deeper into the annals of history, another peculiar practice emerges, one that is as uncanny as it is unsettling. This was a time when the desiccated bodies of ancient Egyptians were ground to a fine powder and consumed, under the belief that they held curative properties. Yes, we are talking about the era when people believed that eating mummies could cure their illnesses. In the 16th and 17th centuries, mummy powder, or mumia, was a highly sought-after commodity in Europe. It was believed to possess potent medicinal properties and was used as a treatment for various ailments. The mummies used were not merely ancient remains. They were once powerful pharaohs and queens, revered in their time, and now ground to dust for a supposed panacea. The idea behind this practice was based on a misunderstanding. The word mummy comes from the Persian mum, meaning wax, which referred to the bitumen or asphalt used in mummification. Ancient Persians and Greeks believed this substance held healing properties, particularly for wounds and fractures. Over time, the word mum became associated with the entire mummified body, leading to the misguided notion that consuming mummified human remains would provide health benefits. It was not a clandestine practice. Apothecaries openly sold mumia, and it was even listed in medical texts of the time. One of the most famous, the Pharmacopoeia Londinensis, issued by the Royal College of Physicians in 1618, included a recipe for mumia. It was this unfounded belief that led to the desecration of countless Egyptian tombs. The demand was so high that when Egyptian mummies became scarce, counterfeit mummies were produced to fill the gap. These were typically the bodies of executed criminals, slaves, or the poor, which were artificially mummified and sold as genuine. The trade in mumia became so widespread that it sparked a form of mummy mania across Europe. The belief in the healing properties of mummies waned by the 18th century, as medical science advanced and the practice was increasingly seen as barbaric. However, the legacy of this bizarre chapter in history still lingers, a testament to the extraordinary lengths people have gone to in their quest for health and longevity. This strange practice, born out of a linguistic misunderstanding and nurtured by the mystique of ancient Egypt, underscores the fluid boundaries between life and death, and the ever-evolving understanding of the human body. It speaks volumes about the power of belief and the desperate measures that people are willing to resort to in the face of illness and disease. Indeed, the consumption of mummified human remains was not an isolated practice. It was part of a larger tradition known as corpse medicine, a term coined by historians to describe the use of human body parts, fluids, and bones for medicinal purposes. In the 16th and 17th centuries, physician to the French king Ambroise Paré wrote extensively about the supposed healing properties of human remains. In his works, he described various preparations of human bones, blood, and fat, suggesting they could be used to treat ailments ranging from epilepsy to headaches. The use of mummies was particularly popular. Mumia was often ground into a powder and mixed with other ingredients to form a medicinal concoction. It was believed to have potent healing properties, and was used to treat everything from wounds, broken bones, and internal injuries to more chronic conditions like arthritis and gout. The belief in its efficacy was so strong that the wealthy often kept a stock of mumia in their homes. It was not uncommon to see ornate jars filled with crushed mummy displayed alongside other exotic and expensive cures in the cabinets of the rich and powerful. There were even instances where mummified human remains were used as an ingredient in paints. Artists, including some of the great masters of the Renaissance, were known to use mummy brown, a pigment made from ground-up mummies, in their works. The use of such materials in art further underscores the era's fascination with death and the macabre. The practice of consuming mummies gradually fell out of favor as the Enlightenment dawned, and medical science began to question the validity of such remedies. By the late 18th century, the trade in mummies had significantly declined, and by the 19th century, it had all but disappeared. Yet the cultural and historical impact of this peculiar chapter in medical history is profound. It serves as a stark reminder of the strange and sometimes gruesome lengths that humanity has gone to in the pursuit of health and healing. The phenomenon of consuming mummies also offers a fascinating insight into the human psyche. It demonstrates our capacity for belief, our willingness to embrace the unknown, and our enduring fascination with the mysteries of life and death. It also underscores our deep-seated fear of illness and our relentless quest for remedies, no matter how bizarre they might seem. Thanks for listening. This has been another episode of Weird History Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to Weird History Podcast on Spotify. Subscribe now.